So, John, what superpower do you wish you had? But it's 16-year-old pre-confidence you.
So, is this the superpower that I wish 16-year-old me had had?
Yes.
Or the superpower that I think 16-year-old me would have wanted?
Wanted.
Well, okay, so that's
Yeah.
a very different question. I feel like
Answer both then.
unfortunately 16-year-old me would probably have wanted to be invisible or something.
Oh,
I know I was thinking I was a right creep. I would totally have been the Dane DeHaan character in this.
yeah.
I would have defaulted to evil very quickly.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels, and spin-offs to films that don't have any. I'm Harry. Joining me, as always, is John,
Hello.
and we've got a guest on this week. It's one of our Patreon episodes.
Hello, yes.
So we've got Lee on. Hello, Lee.
What's going on, everyone?
Well, we're all good on this end. So Lee's got up very early in the morning from... whereabouts are you, Lee? Where are you recording from?
The good old Midwest of America.
Oh,
Oof,
lovely.
what time is it there?
It's 7.
Oh, that's not
AM.
too bad.
When was the last time you were up at 7 a.m?
I was awake at 7 a.m. this morning. I will have you know.
Fair enough. Touche.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, Lee, you are a first-time guest on the show, so welcome.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good, we're glad to have you. And what film have you brought for us today?
I have brought... You see, with your show, you have to pick something that doesn't have a sequel or a prequel or a spin-off. And many of the movies I like do. So you have to dig in deep. And I've come with the 2012 film Chronicle.
It's a good choice. This one's been on my list for a while, actually, to do.
So have you seen this before?
No, I've not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd never seen this before, and I had no idea what it was. So I really like watching a film blind. So I really enjoyed watching this with no idea where it was going to go at all, and I didn't expect it to go the direction it went in the slightest. So
I had some vague idea. Like, I knew superpowers. That's pretty much it. And then when it started off and I saw that it was all just through cameras and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing it was kind of a found footage sort of thing. But yeah.
Height of the found footage era.
Yeah.
yeah. So what? Other than the fact that it doesn't have a sequel, why did you choose this particular film, Lee?
It's one of those films that kind of sticks out as something that does the found footage trope well, and it's also just an interesting movie with good characters and a good plot overall. I mean, it given the world and the beats that it hits, it could have gone either really bad or as good as it does. And it's nice that a genre film, a superhero found footage genre film, doesn't feel quite like it belongs in that category. It feels really it's a character driven film, and that's, I think, the biggest highlight of the movie.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I found very refreshing about this film was that it was a film about superpowers, kind of, where no one knows what superpowers are.
No.
Like, it's not like there's
Yeah.
one of them reads comic books and so they know everything.
Yeah, nobody says, "Oh, I'm Spider-Man" or "I'm Superman," do they? Like they never address.
No one really refers to them as superpowers or says they're going to become superheroes. Like, it's just not a concept people have, and I like that. It was new.
Well, they were so blasé about it.
They really were.
There were times when they're like doing their superpowers in the middle of like in broad daylight in public. I'm like, people are going to see.
Yeah. Oh, the bit in the car park where they moved the woman's car.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It was very much like what if the most typical teenage boys, but not like Marvel movie teenage boys who are like grown up worshipping.
Yeah,
Iron Man or
not
something.
Peter Parker.
Not Peter Parker, but what if like really typical teenage boys, and also teenage boys in like a PG-13 movie. You know, a movie that's allowed where they're allowed to swear and just be horny little toe rags, which is basically what they are. Yeah. So I feel like they behave in ways that are very authentically teenage in that way.
Yes, they do. Almost embarrassingly so.
Oh, totally. I was cringing for a lot of it, but in a way that I appreciated.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that too is a credit of the cast. I mean, between Michael B. Jordan, Dane DeHaan, and
The other guy.
The other guy.
whoever, yeah, the other guy. basically the other guy. Yeah, he doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, he gives a perfectly fine performance, but I think between Michael B. Jordan and Dane DeHaan, they really they take the show.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
They really sell that feeling of, I mean, growing up and just hanging out.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And yeah, you're right. I don't know, was this the first thing both of them had really done that was got them attention, Michael B. Jordan and Dane DeHaan? Because I know they've both gone on to, obviously Michael B. Jordan's huge now, and Dane DeHaan's done other things as well, so...
I think Dane DeHaan did The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think in the same year as this.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, that film that did so well.
Does he play... Am I right in thinking... I've not seen him. Am I right in thinking he plays Spider-Man's emo friend, the one who James...
Harry Osborn,
Harry Osborn, yeah.
Yeah, he,
That makes sense.
He plays James Franco.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then Dane DeHaan... Oh, sorry, I just did him. Michael B. Jordan went on from this, and the director of this, they went on to do Fantastic Four.
Oh, well, that's the thing, yeah.
But luckily, Michael B. Jordan also went on to do Creed.
Yeah.
With director of Black Panther, I've forgotten his name, Ryan Coogler.
Well, that's the thing. I was watching this, and again, knowing nothing, and as it kind of wrapped up, I thought, I bet the director of this went on to do some really good comic book movies afterwards. I bet he's like in the MCU somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the better DC films. Then I was like, ooh, he did Fantastic Four, the worst one, and then he got fired from
Star
Force
Wars.
Awakens. Yeah. Was it?
No, it was The Last Jedi. It
He
was
got
going
fired
to
from
be
Last
his.
Jedi. So, ooh,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
thought he had Boba Fett was what he was going to do.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's right. My
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
I knew it was something. Yeah. So not so much.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I mean, as far as I know from that Fantastic Four film, it was nothing to do with the director.
Okay.
The reasons why that film was so terrible. Apparently, it was all the studio meddling, ridiculously so. Like they had to reshoot over 2/3 of it, which is a lot
That
for
is
a film.
Yeah, and it's still
And it
strangely, still
pretty
did
much
so
spent its budget by that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of that. A lot of things were cut from that film, so the story just didn't make any sense at all. And that's just the studio doing that. Apparently the director even got locked out of the editing room at times.
Well, that's never a good sign.
No, it's not. And like at that point, the director can't be blamed. So
Well, unless you got, I'm not to default to blaming the director, but I guess maybe not everyone's cut out to working within that very strict studio system. Like, you know.
sure, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't have happened to Spielberg,
No, exactly. Yeah.
but still, it can't all be blamed on Josh Trank.
No, I'm not here to blame Josh Trank because this is obviously a good movie. Obviously, he's capable of making good movies. So, yeah.
Telekinesis.
Yes, do tell.
The ability to move, lift, vibrate. That's my favorite. Bend, break, or impact objects through the direct influence of mental power or other non-physical means.
Sounds familiar. Does sound very familiar.
Yes,
You want to see direct influence? Andrew.
She's wearing black today.
That's direct influence.
Lee, do you want to kick us off with a little plot summary of like what this movie is actually about?
Yeah. So we start off with Andrew, played by Dane DeHaan, and it's just this depressingly relatable kid who's kind of on the outside of things. So he starts just recording his life, and you see his mother. You find out she's dying from cancer, and his dad's kind of an alcoholic. So he's got not the best home life either.
An abusive alcoholic.
Oh yeah. It's pretty bad, and I mean, it's just not good.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you see very quickly, he's got literally no friends.
Well, he's got his cousin. They don't get on terribly. Well, they seem to get on all right. Like he seems to like tolerate him.
Yeah, they sort of tolerate each other until like they get superpowers, and then they.
And then that gives them a bit of a bond. Yeah, they obviously set him up as having a very like bad home life. But I appreciated the journey the film went on in a way because I've kind of seen that sad loner kid develop superpowers, kind of film before. So the fact that this took it in a different direction, I thought was really clever. I mean, we'll get to that towards the end of the film, but yeah, because there were times in the first 10 minutes when I was like, well, yes, I can see why you've got a horrible life, but also you are kind of a buzzkill, and you are kind of bringing a lot of this on yourself. Like you are lugging around a giant video camera in a nightclub, and you can't expect not to be picked on for that. So
Yeah.
but maybe that's just me being heartless. So.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's been picked on his entire life, and he's thinking, well, I'm going to change things up.
Yeah, sure. No.
And like maybe the camera made no difference to the amount that he was bullied.
Yeah, sure. But just like moments when like he's filming the cheerleaders and one of them comes over and says, "Can you stop that, please? That's
Yeah.
really creepy." And I was like, "Damn right it is."
Help
Yeah,
himself at all.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you find out he's kind of on the outside. He's got his cousin Matt, and they hang out a bit, and so eventually they all end up going to this kind of rave party in some kind of warehouse outside the woods, and then you're met by Steve, played by Michael B. Jordan,
Who's running for like class president or something. Like there's an election campaign going for him.
Yeah.
So he's like the super popular kid, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like the golden child, which is great.
Yeah, football team and all that. He meets Andrew, and eventually they all head back into the woods to find Matt. And they see this just hole in the ground making some weird noises, so they decide to go in and investigate it. So,
But they go in it super recklessly. Like
Yeah.
they can't see the bottom. They have no idea how deep it is. Michael B. Jordan just full on dives into it.
Yeah. Well, see, at this point in the film, this is like maybe 10 minutes in, and as you mentioned, it's all found footage, so it's all being. We're all seeing it all from the perspective of Dane DeHaan's character Andrew, who's just filming everything with his old-fashioned video
But it's
camera.
technically not even found footage because, like, in films like Cloverfield, for example, that's footage that's literally been, like it says at the start, this footage was found in what used to be known as Central Park. And you're like, oh, scary.
Yeah.
This one is more everything shown through cameras.
Yeah, you're right. It's
Like,
more
it's
POV.
more like searching, if you think about it, when that one's all shown on screen.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's found footage, not the
It's
other
weird
way.
because there's everything, there's all sort of CCTV stuff and
Yeah, true. But at this point, I
it,
thought...
it gets tenuous as hell.
It does. We'll talk about that, yeah, absolutely. But at this point, I kind of thought to myself, oh, I know where this film's going. This is going to be, like, super generic. Like, I really thought it was going to turn into, like, The Descent or something. When they jump into the hole, I was like, oh, so there's going to be monsters in the hole, and the whole film's going to be them running around in the dark, being killed by these monsters. And then, so I was pleasantly surprised when it did not go that direction.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so they go in and as someone who was a teenager in America, just blindly jumping in a hole. I mean, that's pretty true. When you get bored, you're out in the woods. Hey, look, there's a hole. Let's go look. Let's investigate.
Especially if you've got people around you that you're trying to be
Oh,
confident
yeah.
in front of.
Oh yeah. Well, also they were drinking in the movie too, which definitely sways their judgment. But so they go in, they see some weird like crystally things in a cavern. Definitely looks alien. And this is the last they see of the hole.
Yeah, it's great.
It's nice because it's nice that they just introduce why something happens and never explain it. Because that doesn't matter.
It really could have got so bogged down in like in what that is, and aliens invaded 50 years ago, and this is what they left behind, or something like that, and that's not what this film is about, and that's great.
Yeah, I love a film that has the confidence to just not explain something that doesn't need explaining.
Yeah, and not even like
so
at the end of the film leave it open, as in like I wonder what it could have been.
Yeah.
Just like it's just not addressed.
That's not what. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
It's not important. It's not what this is. At this point, when they're all standing around this crystal thing and their noses start bleeding. Well, I've just recently watched all 5 episodes of Chernobyl, and so this is happening, and I'm thinking they're all dead by the morning. Like they are going to have some bad cancer.
No, I was the same. Like all the nosebleed stuff in the first like 20 minutes, I was like, "Go to the hospital!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But teenage boys, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we're invincible.
Yeah.
So after this point, it cuts to a couple weeks later, and they're recording themselves developing these telekinetic powers they have. But just like earlier, when they use it too much, their nose starts to bleed. It's kind of a mechanic we've seen in movies and media before.
Yeah.
So after a while, they just spend a good third of the movie, maybe, just doing different things to test out their powers and kind of hone them, and some sketchy CGI ensues.
Definitely, yes.
They try to figure that out.
Plenty of.
I found this part of the movie really fun though. Just the fact that they spent so much time just hanging out, just being obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like I said, just doing all the
It's
pranks.
like throwing the ball, building the Lego. I love those bits.
Yeah.
The bit when they started like bullying the bullies.
Yeah.
That was like, oh god, you just pulled out his teeth. Oh god.
Oh no, that's later on. That's when it gets super dark. But yeah, they don't do that straight away.
No.
At first, they're just like, yeah, they're bullying that poor waitress.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was so mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, blowing the girls' skirts up and just being gross teenage boys in so many ways. Yeah.
You guys, here she comes. Here she comes. Oh, shh. Don't look. Steve, don't look. She can't find it. She thinks it's stolen. She has no idea.
Yes, it was the black guy this time.
I could have sworn I parked it right here. Where's my car?
Ignore us. We're just Morbins.
Gary's having a giggle fit. So basically, it's generic telekinesis, they can fly as well, and yeah, I think that's about the extent of their powers.
They can fly. They're super strong, aren't they? Well, one of them is definitely super strong.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're strong or if like they're just sort of immune to stuff.
Well, there's the bit where he gets
Stabbed by a fork.
Stabbed by a fork. Yeah, so they definitely have.
Oh, so that's in that scene. He's saying you just gotta like imagine a force field around your hand. So that's them using their telekinesis to block it.
Oh, okay.
Right,
yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, this kind of culminates into to them really becoming good friends, and so Steve encourages Andrew to use his powers in the school talent show. He thinks it would be good for him to kind of get some exposure, to get some more, I guess, popularity, and then maybe he won't feel so much as an outsider.
Now, this is where I took some issue with the film. This was a major plot point for me because they figure out that Andrew admits shockingly that he's a virgin. So then they're like, oh, let's figure out a plan that's going to make you really cool, and then they do that by putting on a magic show. No teenager in the history of all of high school has ever won over a hostile teen crowd by being really good at magic. That is not a thing.
No.
Now, in their defense, if I were to see this stuff that happened in the movie in person, I'd be pretty impressed.
Oh yeah, certainly. That was a great talent show. That looked really good, and like not just the actual magic in it. Like they had good sort of on-stage presence, both of them.
Yeah, they had a little Penn and Teller routine going.
Yeah,
I liked it.
it worked well.
I'm not criticising the magic. I'm just saying, I knew magician kids when I was growing up. That they were never the cool kids, no matter how good they were at juggling.
No, you think though that they would have gone with some tricks a little more explainable, regardless of their means of doing it, because
Well,
just like juggling the ball and making it just float in the air. It's like, oh man, how'd you do that, guys? Strings.
Well,
we used strings.
yeah, but that's guessable. Look, you've just guessed that there, so the crowd would be able to guess like, oh, they must have done it somehow with strings. But like, that's still really good. But also, remember, this is a universe where superheroes have never been a thing that anyone's thought about, so they're probably not thinking like, better keep our identity secret.
Yeah. It's clearly not.
They're probably just like, hey, look at this amazing party trick that I can do. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like the, I don't know, the suspense of disbelief there. I mean, yeah, it's just, it seems like a touch too far. Like, someone would post that on the internet, and he'd definitely be getting knocks on the door.
Also, you never see a teacher in this film at all. Not once.
Don't do you?
I was like, surely the teachers who put together this talent show were like, so what are you planning to do? What's the insurance on this? How are you doing this? How are you not going to hurt yourself? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, questions. But again, this film very much glosses over things that don't matter. So,
Yeah, that's true. So basically after that, they get, I mean, he gets the popularity. They're at this house party.
In a mansion.
Yeah.
It's
a full-on mansion. Why is there always a mansion in these small towns in America in these films?
Lee, I've got to say, is this how Americans live? Because in films, this is all you have.
Yeah, there's always the popular kid who lives in a literal mansion.
Yeah.
That's how Hollywood lives.
Yeah.
Hey, my producer buddy said we can use this house to save money on the budget this weekend. And it just really just... I mean, I wish I had a house like that. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
So they're at this party, and they're hanging out, and it's a girl.
Andrew impresses a 35-year-old girl
in a share wig.
in a share wig who goes to the same high school.
Yeah.
He impresses her by being good at beer pong.
Yeah.
And that gets her into bed.
Yeah. I genuinely thought, I'm not being cruel to whoever this actress was, I genuinely thought it was Juliette Lewis for a good 5 minutes. I was like, well, what's she doing in this film? And then obviously it's not. It's supposed to be some girl in her who's like 17 as opposed to 45. But
yeah, I looked her up. She's born in 1985, so how old would she be?
Well, when did this film come out?
2012, so she'd have been 27 or something like that.
Yeah, which I guess is it's at the upper end of, but it's not the oldest you've seen.
I mean, she's supposed to be 10 years younger than that.
Yeah, and yeah,
like it's not university, it's high school.
No, I did think she was someone's mom. I really did. Like it was,
yeah.
But whatever he he does. Initially, he pulls her. They go upstairs, and then
Oh yeah, and then he just pukes on her.
Which did it read to you that he'd puked on her?
No, not at all. I missed that.
I thought he had done something else.
Yeah. I thought that he just asked something that was.
Oh
weird,
no! I
that-
literally because I saw when she runs out, says, "Oh, that's disgusting," and then Michael B. Jordan runs in, and he's sat in his underpants, and then there's like these. I guess it's there's puke stains all over the jacket. He's got all over my jacket, but I don't know about something about the color or just my dirty mind. I thought he'd like prematurely, ejaculated, and there was so much of it. I was like, well, I guess he is a teenage boy, and it's his first time. But also maybe I thought, oh, has he got like alien spunk? Is that what has he got like superpowers? Is that what's happening here? Like, is that the next iteration of this? And then it turned out it was just vomit. I was like, oh, my mind went to a different place.
Yeah, sure. Wow, John.
Sorry, I have to speak my truth.
Maybe we don't need to hear it though.
Okay, you guys are getting ready to witness history, all right? I feel like a proud dad right now because behind these doors, Andrew Deppert becomes a man. He's a little boy behind there. He's scared. He's like a butterfly getting ready to emerge from a cocoon or some shit like that. But it's
Weirdo!
Wait, what happened?
Okay.
Is that
I need you
it?
out of my way now.
Oh, man. Drew, it's okay, man. Don't worry about it. Look, it happens to the best of us, okay? You got a little too much to drink. Oh, buddy. What's going on, dude?
Why are you laughing?
Oh, man, all over my jacket.
Stop,
Nah, it's
stop
cool.
laughing.
What are you talking about? It's cool, man. It's
No,
cool.
it's not cool, Steve. Stop.
Stop what? It's cool, man. It's all
We
right.
just get out of here. Get out.
Drew.
What's your problem? You think this is funny?
No, I'm not laughing.
Get out.
But, so this causes Andrew to really just go into himself. He's humiliated by it, and I mean, Steve's in there trying to tell him it's okay, but to be 16 and have that happen, nah, nah, man, it's over.
And so is this
So-
what turns him into a supervillain?
Well, that and his dad.
No,
It's the
not necessarily. It's just
Well,
one of the...
which bit does he start? Like, when does he talk to the spider? When does that?
The
bit in
spider
film?
happens immediately after the failed sex scene. The next
Okay.
thing you see after the party is him in his bedroom staring at the spider, which he then kind of blows up, which I thought was a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. It
Yeah.
looked horrific.
Yeah, I really felt for the poor spider, but
Yeah.
like, it was a good effect. Like, yeah.
Well, and all throughout the movie, you get shots of, I think, him by himself, testing himself with things kind of like the spider scene. You can hear his dad yelling in the background, and yeah, it definitely builds.
Yeah, I don't think one
The movie
thing.
does a good job of building that up.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think that one single thing turns him into a
No,
villain.
but like, I was just wondering which point was the first catalyst that kind of got it going.
Sure. Well, I think the first catalyst was the fact that he grew up in an abusive home. Like, I mean, I could
Well,
sympathise.
yeah, true, but I didn't feel like he was going in a villainous direction until
Oh no, that it definitely takes a turn.
until that point. So I guess
Sure.
that night at the party was what sort of tipped him into that direction.
Oh
Took
yeah,
him-
that's
took
definitely
him on
when,
that path.
Yeah, that's definitely when the film
but
takes its big
it
turn,
wasn't
yeah.
difficult for him to
No,
go that
so
way.
he always. I think he always has a bit of like an incel kind of vibe
Yeah.
to him. So yeah.
Also, he's not got the face for a hero.
No. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's this again. It's the casting spoiler alert. It's like Dane DeHaan. I think they've tried to cast Dane DeHaan in heroic roles, and it's not really panned out. Like he was in that film. What was it that came out last year with Cara Delevingne? It completely bombed. It was a sci-fi movie.
Valerian.
Valerian, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the reason that film bombed. I'm sure he isn't. But like,
Well, they were pitching it as the new Avatar. And
Yeah,
that's
it's never a good
why,
sign.
why would you do that?
yeah. But yeah, I think he definitely has a face for villainy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of not culminates, but his dad has finally had enough to drink, enough whatever. I'm not trying to justify what he does, but
I love the way you say it. Finally, he's finally had enough to drink.
I'm finally full. Yeah,
That's what alcoholics crave, just being full.
Yeah, fridge.
They're just trying to get there.
Yeah, just top themselves up.
He's had too much to drink. He's had enough of Andrew's behavior, which is just basically typical teenage behavior. His dad's definitely in the wrong in this, but he attacks. He doesn't attack. I guess he
They get into a physical altercation, definitely.
Yeah,
There's lots of
yeah,
shoving,
exactly,
and then
and Andrew he uses his powers to knock him back, and that injures him. And it's so bad an attack that both Steve and Matt's nose start to bleed after he used his power.
Oh, yeah.
That just definitely shows how linked they are.
Well, actually, I think you've missed a bit before that. What's going on with Steve? What happened to him? I forget what happened to him that made him go up to the sky, into the sky, and be crying and stuff.
No, wasn't that? Didn't he sense that Andrew was
Yeah, that's...
in
Oh,
pain?
sorry, I thought it was the other guy. Oh,
No.
My bad.
No. Yeah, Matt kind of ignores the nosebleed, and then Steve goes to fly up in the middle of the storm to talk to Andrew, where he's now.
Matt's far too busy trying to get into bed with not Kirsten Dunst with her distractingly perfect hair.
So they're in the storm, and they're just talking it out, and Steve's trying to help Andrew, and Andrew just gets too frustrated, and then Steve gets struck by lightning,
Yeah.
and he dies.
Yes.
And I had seen this movie probably just after it came out, but I forgot about that. I forgot that that's what did it, so I was just fully expecting the next scene for him to be like, okay. Nope, he's just gone.
No, I mean,
because
as that scene started when they're both up in the sky, it was super... I found it super obvious that somebody was going to die.
Well, they've already had one near-death experience in the sky. I don't know why they keep hanging out there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if a plane was actually going to hit somebody, if somebody was going to, go through propeller of a plane or something like that. But, when the lightning really started up, I was like, okay, someone's getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
And then it happened. I wasn't sure, and I don't know if the film actually specifically tells you, was the lightning caused by Andrew or not?
I feel like it's heavily implied that it was. It was an accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got angry and his anger exploded and it caused the lightning to hit Steve. That was how I read into it.
Yeah. If nothing else, just being in the sky in the middle of a lightning storm.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Worst idea.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of sort of daydreaming a little bit, just what if a plane hit them, but, like the Fork, they're fine, they put their force field up or something, just naturally, instinctually, and then the plane just crashes out of the sky and all those people die. That would be a bit of a twist. Shit, we just killed 80 people.
Oh, well, he's already killed that guy. We forgot that bit. He killed or did he die, or he nearly killed the guy in the car? Remember earlier in the film, he drives the car off the road.
Oh, yeah.
So he's already done that.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that. That is the turning point.
Yes. Is
Yeah,
that
I
after?
forgot to mention that.
Is that after the failed sex scene with Juliette Lewis, or
That's beforehand, I think.
it's beforehand? Okay, so there's definitely signs already that he's taking it. Yeah, that's it, because they're all doing all these pranks, aren't they? Being kind of douchey, blowing the girls' skirts up and moving people's cars, and it's all kind of essentially harmless. And then it's you can see it's Andrew who takes it that little bit too far. Well, a lot too far when he just swipes a car off the road and either kills or almost kills a man. I can't
Just
remember.
almost kills
a
yeah,
man. I think
put
he
in hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, I got the impression he didn't mean for the car to go right off the road and down a ditch.
No.
I think he
at
just
all.
meant to sort of make it swerve and
Yeah.
perhaps hit the crash barrier or something. That crash barrier did fuck all.
Yeah.
It may as well not have been there.
Well, that's America for you. But I think it's... Sorry, I'm really joking. I feel like, Andrew's the one who always takes it a bit too far. Not necessarily that he's instantly a villain, but I don't think one of the other two guys would have done that necessarily. They would have had a bit more responsibility. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but I find that almost relatable. We all know that one person that doesn't know when the joke ends.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anybody like that.
Are you thinking about me or you?
Me?
Yeah. I was going to say.
If you don't know who that person is,
It's you. Yeah.
I keep going back to it, but that's the driving force behind the movie is just the character exploration of these teenage boys, and it seems very true to. I mean, not that I can develop telekinetic powers, but it just seems outside of that, it seems really kind of true to life.
Yeah, definitely.
So Steve's dead. They have a funeral, and Andrew tries to talk to Matt, and Andrew says it wasn't his fault, and
Matt kind of insinuates that it was. And then Andrew just flies off and then just gets moody and monologues while crushing cars.
This is when Andrew kind of really goes off the rails a bit. So this is when he goes into the school after Steve's funeral and rips the bully's teeth out psychically. So this is where he's really just, and you see him, he's filming himself, and he's always filming himself.
Yeah.
But at this point, he describes himself as an apex predator, which is that he considers himself to be a higher form of life now that he's got these powers. So he thinks that all the people who like pick on him and bully him are like beneath him. So he's kind of in his own mind justifying his behaviours, and it's leading him down a very dark path.
Yes.
In conjunction with this, his mom, she gets worse, and so he decides to get the money for her medication to try to help out. So he grabs his dad's old firefighting gear and goes out and starts to rob some bullies that it kind of mentions earlier in the film that they don't matter. But,
Well,
so he
those ones look like a gang sort of.
They look more like drug. They look older, like
Yeah.
petty drug dealers. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how he expected them to be carrying $750 in cash on them when they just seem to be dealing a bit weird.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess it's a starting point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how.
so
I like how he gets. They do show him getting into this full like costume of his dad's firefighting gear, like, and then immediately the bullies go, "Is that Andrew?" Like,
Yeah. Yes.
his disguise
I
does
like
not
that
work.
too.
Straight away, like
Yeah.
he's wearing Andrew's backpack,
Yeah,
and like he's wearing a clear mask.
yeah,
Awful disguise.
yeah.
And also not helpful when in the next scene he lights himself on fire.
No.
Like he is seriously burnt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He goes. He tries to rob them. Doesn't get enough money, and then he goes to rob a gas station. And the guy pulls a shotgun on him. He throws it away, and that makes the gun shoot a propane tank, and boom. So he's in the hospital now with severe burns, despite wearing a fire retardant suit. And he's under police investigation.
I'm surprised his face wasn't more messed up,
Yeah.
because I really felt like they were going for like the villain with the burnt, messed up face.
It was more his arms, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
guess
it was.
Yeah.
This film obviously was shot on a low budget. I think there's more than the prosthetics. You know, they wanted to put
true.
that,
True,
put
yeah,
that
yeah.
in other things, that money that they had. So,
Yeah, just wax some sleeves on him.
yeah.
Yeah, either that or they wanted his real performance to come through in his face.
Yeah, that's true. If you turn him into like
smashing
Harvey
good looks.
Two-Face, it might take away from it a little bit. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's in the hospital, and his dad tells him that his mother died, and he blames him for it. In
While he's
quite
unconscious.
possibly the worst father-son moment
In the history of cinema.
He is a shitty dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing.
Because like it starts off that moment. It's like he's sad that that Andrew's in hospital there and knocked out and stuff. And he's like, I was looking for you all night and stuff like that. I was like, oh, the dad's come through. This is sweet. And
Yeah,
then,
he's gonna, you know.
yeah, and then it's really much just like your mum died, and that's your fault.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely took a turn.
It's rough.
Yeah. Well, the dad is played by that guy from House of Cards. So I mean, I was instantly primed to dislike him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like the most awful character in House of Cards. So.
Is he?
Well, I mean,
Is
he's
he?
like the
he's in the top three, but he's
definitely-
number 3.
Really? Oh well, that's a separate podcast, I guess.
Yes.
I was primed to dislike him anyway. Like, so it wasn't hard for me to believe that he was a really shitty dad.
Yeah. He's not worse than Kevin Spacey
Well, not in real life, you know.
or in House of Cards.
Well, he's like slimy. Like, there's no charisma to that character.
True. Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
So Matt is at a birthday party with his girlfriend, and
I had questions about this because, sorry, the mum has died, and he said the mum died yesterday. So there's been, well, obviously we assume Andrew has been in the hospital being treated and stuff. So some time has passed since the mother has died. These two are cousins. So
Yeah.
Matt's mom has either lost her sister or her sister-in-law. It's never established. She clearly doesn't know. Like, 'cause they're just like having a little party.
Yeah.
Again, just like plot holes. I was like, you not thought to tell your immediate family that your wife is dead and your son is in the hospital? I mean, he is a shitty dad, so maybe he just doesn't think.
Yeah,
anyone's
maybe
feeling.
he's just not in touch at all with his sister,
Fair enough. Yeah.
if that's the relation. But yeah, so, dunno.
Sure. Anyway, okay. I'm nitpicking.
so they're at a birthday party for some kid that they both know.
Is it Kirsten Dunst with the perfect hair? Maybe she's there.
Yeah, it's his girlfriend, his now girlfriend, I guess.
Yeah.
And he gets a nosebleed, and then he can't stop it, and he's talking to her, so he feels like something's wrong with Andrew. So they
then-
go to the hospital.
Well, no. Then there's a news flash, isn't there?
Yes, that there's been an explosion at the hospital.
Yeah.
It's like breaking news.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what channel were they watching
Yeah.
at this birthday party that would actually put a news flash up?
If it's a local design, it's a local emergency. You never know, they might just put it on all channels.
Maybe, I guess.
So they see Andrew's floating outside the hospital, and he's he's about to Andrew's about to drop his dad from holding him up high.
And he does.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Matt saves him at the last second.
Apparently, in the original script, what he was supposed to do was he was supposed to kill his dad the same way he kills the spider, like just rip him to shreds. But they decided to drop that because it would have made the film too gory, and they wanted to get it like a PG-13 kind of rating. So, yeah.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I think to be fair that yeah, I think it's good that this film doesn't go too far into like serious gore, but yeah, interesting change. So.
So after that, it's pretty much they're fighting and flying through the city.
Andrew's full supervillain now.
Yeah, he's broke bad.
It's very much Man of Steel. Like let's just flatten a city completely. Oh, a landmark! Quick, go land on it and punch.
Yeah. It made me think somehow, for some reason, of this is really random, but we saw the film Glass recently.
Yes.
And the film, it never actually happens, but the film keeps promising there's going to be like a big fight on the top of the big tower. And I was like, oh, this is the scene.
yeah, this is what Glass should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of landmarks, you're at the Seattle Space Needle, and Matt tries to reason with Andrew, and it just, I mean, Andrew's gone. He's full on evil.
At this point, he's smashed all the windows in the Space Needle, or whatever you called it, and he's taken everybody's phones, and he's now filming. Just for some reason, he's filming everything.
Yeah.
Mainly for us.
Yes.
So that we can see different cinematic angles of how things are looking.
I mean, I'm probably we'll talk about the use of the camera when we finish the plot summary. But these were the parts when it stretched a little bit.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah. Although I did like the use of like CCTV, like they cut it between like CCTV and news footage. That made it quite. You saw it from different angles and
that worked. I like that.
Did anyone else get a weird, inappropriate laugh when it cut to a indoor security camera and then just like blasting through a wall?
Yes,
it did make me chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird because there was just like no sound or anything. It was just a big change.
Yeah.
So they're all up in the air with apparently just the most high-end cameras.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the latest smartphone.
Well, the girlfriend's there too, still shooting her vlog. I keep saying vlog. I'm so old.
Yeah. He has her in a car, I think, and then raises her up to the top.
Yeah, and she holds the camera through all of this.
Yeah.
Which, well done to her for doing it, because, then we get to enjoy it a bit.
Yeah.
But like,
and it will go viral if she lives. So.
Certainly, yeah. But like when she's literally getting yanked out of the car by her superhero boyfriend because her superhero boyfriend's cousin is crushing the car and trying to throw it off a skyscraper.
Also, her remarkably steady hand.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
she is cool as a cucumber.
But again, thankful. I'm very thankful for her. So, yeah, well done to her.
So, ultimately, it ends up with kind of like a police standoff, and Andrew using his powers around him, saying that he's going to just kill a bunch of people with what he's about to do.
And I've got to say, the film would have a very different ending if instead of Steve dying in the middle, it was somebody else. Because at this point, during all the police standoffs, they would have not lasted so long.
Yeah, I thought that too. It's like, he's so lucky he's a white kid in this situation. It would have been like a very abrupt ending otherwise. Like,
yeah.
Well, so I thought, it had been so long since I seen this movie, I thought Steve was in the final act as well, and they were all fighting together, and that's when he died.
Okay.
Which I think, I mean, I'm not saying Michael B. Jordan was carrying the movie. It does fine on its own.
He was helping it along.
A highlight of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it would have made it. It could have made it better had that been the case.
The film would have been a lot worse if it wasn't for him being in it.
Yeah.
But then when he's not in it, the film it carries the momentum.
Yeah, because he's not. Yeah. He's not the lead. Andrew's definitely the lead, but Michael B. Jordan, obviously, as we've discovered through his career subsequently, is a movie star. And even though he wasn't a movie star at this point, he still had that movie star like watchability that I think just you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And he really has it. So yeah, I know.
The film would be way too boring. Even if the last act was exactly the same, it would be way too boring if you didn't have the high that Michael Jordan had brought in.
Definitely, yeah. He's very charismatic in this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm not saying he carries the movie, but he does a lot for it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, so back to how it actually ended. I couldn't tell you the statue. Some kind of statue with the dude holding a spear.
Look like
And,
look like Wonder Woman to me.
Yeah, the statue of Wonder Woman, Harry. They'll
Yeah.
have them in every city in America. Yeah.
Yep.
So Matt has no choice, but he uses his powers to shove the spear from the statue straight through Andrew,
Mhm.
and that's it. He's dead.
Yeah.
And Matt gets up and flies away,
And
and
goes off on his gap year.
Yeah.
yeah.
He goes backpacking. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's in Tibet, where in earlier in the film Andrew mentioned that he wanted to go. So he just kind of he says his goodbyes to Andrew and just leaves the camera there and just goes away.
Mm.
And that's it.
And that's the film. Yeah.
That's it. That's Chronicle.
Yeah. A nice short film as well.
Yes, it was.
I always
wasn't it?
appreciate like a 90-minute movie. I was like, great.
Less than that,
80, yeah, exactly. When I looked at the runtime,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck God, I've watched so many like 2-hour pluses recently. It's so nice to just be like, oh, this is going to be over in an hour. Not in a negative way, because it was a really good film, but it really didn't wear out its welcome. Like, because especially with found footage, I know it's not found footage, but these kind of films, you can get sick of the format quite quickly, I think. So
Oh yeah.
I think it's really good to keep it tight, and there was very little fat on this, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, good film.
Yes, it was. I'm very glad that we've now done it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good one to have.
Any more thoughts before we get to drinking games?
Not that won't be covered in what we're gonna go over.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Lovely, lovely. All right, well, I'll start drinking games. First one I've got is drink for bad special effects.
Okay. Which one stood out to you as questionable?
The baseball at the start.
I did see some strings. I'm sure I saw some strings.
I don't know. Well, no, because it looked really CGI'd.
Oh,
and
I
like,
might
it
be thinking
didn't,
of something else. Yeah.
it didn't look like it was there because it wasn't.
Sure.
And
yeah,
I don't
okay.
know how they got that one so bad, because some of the other ones were great, and that one didn't look like it was difficult to do. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think it's one when they're flying. There's one definitely when I was like, I'm sure I just saw a string. Like,
There's some dodgy green screens.
Yeah,
That's for certain. Like anything like in the sky amongst the clouds, it doesn't look good.
no.
Or in the toy store when they're messing with their powers at first.
Yeah.
I think the floating teddy.
That
bear
was it. The floating teddy
Yeah.
bear was the one when I was
it's
like, yeah,
bad.
that's...
Yeah.
That's strings and green screen.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. You're absolutely right. Is when they used the teddy bear to scare that little girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would be fucking hell?
Yeah.
Imagine if that happened.
Yeah.
You'd be scared
Traumatised
shitless
for life, yeah.
forever. Never look at a teddy bear again.
No.
Anybody else?
Lee, have you go on?
I've got drink every time there's an inexplicably dynamic shot from a floating camera.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. I was thinking that, given he's not actually looking down the lens of the camera, he never like gets anything half out of shot. It's always perfectly in shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if it's even to try to justify if he's got one of those cameras that the screen flips around at the front. Even then, he's not looking at it like 100% of the time.
No, he's not.
He should have gone into filmography to make all that money for his mom's medicine. 'Cause he would have. You can hire one guy to get 7 different shots as good as they were.
Oh yeah.
yeah, he should just move to LA.
Yeah,
Yeah, would have been a very fruitful career.
He should go into sports.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I had a similar one, which is drink every time you wonder why they're still filming.
Yeah.
Especially in the second half of the film, like they justify it a lot. Like I've got a side drinking game, which is drink every time someone comments on the camera.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially like at the funeral, I'm like, why are you filming this? Like,
Yeah.
when he's just like sadly walking up through the grass and you see the camera just presumably floating behind him like a little Roomba or something. Like, yeah, that's the thing with found footage films, or these kind of films. They always tend to box themselves into a bit of a corner where it's like they have to constantly justify why someone's filming. So I think this film did it better than some others, but yeah, it definitely. I don't know. Do you think it needed to be a footage film? Like,
No, it didn't.
like it just. I could see why they made that choice to justify the low budget of it, and so they didn't have to show like full special effects. And it is kind of a character beat for Andrew as well, that he kind of uses it as like a shield, a barrier, he says, against the world. But I don't know, could it just have been like, look, it's a low budget superhero movie, we're just gonna, well, or not a superhero movie, a low budget, sci-fi movie. I feel like they could have got around it in other ways that would have been a little bit less distracting, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Anyway, so next one I've got is drink anytime they film something which could get brought up in court.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
There's so many things they do.
They are absolutely engineering their own downfall,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Filming all of their crimes.
I've got a drink every time someone gets hit in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, the scene where they're throwing the baseball at each other's faces, I was like,
Yeah.
this is why I hated being a teenage boy.
Yeah,
The kind of
yeah.
shit they used to do. I remember I had just a digression. I had some friends, I remember when I was at university, we stayed up drinking all night, and then one of them had to go to work the next day, and he was like, they were all like drunk straight boys, and he was like, just punch me in the face, and then I say I got buttoned up and mugged, and I was just watching these two guys literally punching each other in the face so they could say they'd been mugged. I was like, just say you've got a cold, you idiot, Jesus. It's the level of moronic teenage behaviour. That's yeah. Okay, drink for product placement.
Yeah, I had that one next as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, there's one very obvious one.
Well, what did you find?
The Pringles.
Yeah, the Pringles was was pretty big, yeah.
It was the way, so there's a scene when they're all just hanging out eating Pringles and they use their magic powers, telekinesis, to like, eat the Pringles, the whole and stuff. It's all fun. But it's the fact that they're sat on like the bleachers and the Pringles package is very noticeably pointed to the camera.
Yeah.
And then it's when they lift it up and then they really awkwardly put it back down in the exact same position so that it's still facing, you must see the Pringles logo at all times.
Yeah.
It was the one that really stood out to me, but it really made me laugh.
Yeah, I saw a few Coke, and every phone was an iPhone.
Well, yeah.
Which is pretty standard for these.
Oh, isn't there a bit when he's surrounded by floating Apple devices?
Yeah.
And then suddenly all the shots are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I mean, it's 2012. The shots would be like fine.
Yeah. But they're noticeably better than any other part of the film. It's like, yeah.
Drink for moaning.
Oh, from Andrew.
Just anybody really, but yeah.
He is kind of a dweeb. Like,
Or just like moaning or philosophy.
yeah, oh, I had that one. Drink every time someone defines a word. Like,
Yeah.
telekinesis is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because Matt's supposed... Is it Matt? Yeah, Matt's supposed to be like this pseudo-intellectual. He's always talking about, hey, have you ever heard Kant's theory of the cave and all this kind of stuff? But then he doesn't know what the word telekinesis means. He has to look that up in a dictionary, which seems inconsistent.
Well, why would he need to know?
Well, I guess that's not. Maybe that's the
when
thing.
would
He's
it
so
have come up?
pretentious. He doesn't really know that much, but what he knows, he just talks it all the time. So, yeah. But yes, lots of word definitions.
Lee?
No, we've been over sketchy CG. That's all. That's the few that I had.
Sure, okay. My next one is drink whenever people talk about themselves.
Yeah. They're teenagers. That's what teenagers do. They're completely
true.
self-involved. I wanted to know...
Even when they're just being like, I'm different to everybody else. I'm better than everyone.
Yeah. But I liked that because that made like... Again, I like the fact that it let the teenagers be authentically awful teenagers because, Matt's whole thing about being like, oh, I think all this cool, popularity, it's a mirage, man. And she's just like... It kind of annoyed because at first I thought not Kirsten Dunst was going to like call him out on it a bit, and then she kind of does, but then he's like, oh man, I really messed this up, and she's like, oh no, not really, I like you really, because the plot needs me to be your girlfriend.
Yeah.
She didn't have the most rewarding role in the film.
Not really, no.
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 And I keep harping on, but her hair was so distracting. It was so coiffed. Like, because all the boys look like teenage boys. They look, I mean, Michael Jordan looks like the highest evolution of a teenage boy. Like, he looked great. He's
the apex.
He truly is an apex predator. But like Dane DeHaan and the other guy, they look kind of a little bit greasy, a little bit they're wearing baggy clothes. They look like slightly old, but still they look like teenage. But she just looked like she'd walked straight out of a beauty parlor. Like her hair, even when she's just answering the door, her hair is just like so coiffed. I was just like, distracted me a lot.
Sure. Last drink game I've got is drink for bad decisions.
Oh yeah. Well, that's just drink through the whole movie.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Everyone's making bad decisions at every possible turn.
Yeah. Got any more?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. So
okay, great. Right, well, before we get to sequels, just want to let any listeners who don't really know that we are available on patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. Lee, you've probably already heard of this, given you are one.
Yes, and we thank you for it from the bottom of our hearts. It means a great deal to us that anyone chooses to support us. And
Yeah. So what Lee does is he has decided to donate as much or as little as he likes.
Yes, we'll keep the number
to us on a monthly basis. And to do so, Lee gets 3 different things. He gets a bonus show every week called Beyond the Box Set. Lee, what's the last thing we did on that?
What is the last thing? I haven't listened to them out of order. I think there was Aladdin was one of the last ones I listened
I think Aladdin's the most recent one, and then Ma is coming. We recorded Ma the other day. So
Yes, Ma will be coming in a couple of days from recording, but I think this episode's going out in a bit.
Yeah.
So we got the bonus show there. We also, once a month, which we are doing right now, a patron can come on the show. You can choose any film you like that is sequel-less or prequel-less or whatever.
Yeah.
Why have I done it this way around? I don't know. So you can do any film. If you want to guest on it, you're very welcome. You can come in from wherever in the world you are. If you happen to be nearby Leeds, then, come into John's apartment and you can have a beer with us.
Yeah, sure.
Lee, are you having a beer right now?
I mean, it's 7 a.m.,
Oh, yes,
so...
it's 8 a.m. I'm definitely
in the bag, yeah.
trying to raise my kids in an environment like Andrew.
Good, well,
hey, no
cheers.
judgment here.
Yeah. Cheers, Lee.
Hey.
What's the final thing? Oh yeah, once a month, every patron gets a 30-second advert slot that comes on the main show where they can advertise anything they want. It can be their own podcast, their own business, or somebody else's podcast, whatever you want to talk about for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Lee, do you want to talk about something for 30 seconds?
Maybe your podcast?
Yeah. So I do a podcast called Connected Hearts, a Kingdom Hearts fan community podcast, and it's just me talking to other content creators, streamers, cosplayers about why we love the series so much and how it impacts us. And it's gotten into some cool areas where even if you don't like the game series, there's some subject matter in there that's still pretty cool, whether it be streaming on something like Twitch or just, making cosplay in general or fan art or music.
Oh, cool.
Where can we find your podcast?
On iTunes, and you can find us on Twitter at Podcast Hearts, and that's it.
Cool. So that's Connected Hearts on iTunes, yeah?
Yep.
Cool, great, yeah, check it out. So thanks very much, Lee.
Great stuff. All right, so now sequel pictures. Who wants to go first, you or me, John?
I don't mind. Lee, are you kids go in the middle?
Yeah.
Cool, okay.
Okay.
What's your preference, Harry?
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay, cool. So I needed some help with the title for mine. We'll workshop a little bit at the end. But my basic idea was, I was thinking about this film and how it is very much in the kind of comic book / superhero realm, even though it's not. It's an original property, but it definitely has the feel of like a superhero origin movie, which we see. We've seen a lot of versions of. I think this is a quite original version, but we see, so many Marvel films and, so many DC films, so many all these films show you a bunch of young people or a young person finds a superpower, develops a superpower somehow, and then it's how they deal with it. And it's a film we see all the time. And I got to thinking, why does this always just have to be young people? And I guess I know like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the youngest, but, a lot of them, it tends to be younger people. So my idea of this is kind of like a version of this film, but instead of 3 teenagers, it's 3 old men.
Yes.
So I'm
sold already.
Yeah,
This is going to be fantastic.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping. So I'm thinking it's like Chronicle meets The Expendables is kind of the vibe I was going for.
Okay. So have you got a cast?
Yes, I do. So my central trio is going to be Jeff Bridges, Steve Buscemi, and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he's always a good shout.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was thinking of 3 like rough analogues to...
But is Samuel L. Jackson playing his actual age? As opposed to...
Oh, yeah, he's not digitally de-aged.
As opposed to what he looks like.
Yeah, he's playing... he's 17 he plays.
Yeah.
So I think he's like 70, 71 at this point. So yeah. I mean, we can certainly comment on the fact that he still looks amazing. Like,
sure, yeah.
He doesn't need to like be aged up artificially, but he is playing his authentic age in this. So yeah, I was thinking of like 3, rough analogues. So your Jeff Bridges is obviously going to be Matt, the more chilled out, the cool...
Oh, so it's just... What is it, a remake or...
It's not a remake, but it's got parallels.
Okay.
Like, it's not a sequel in the I don't think it's going to really acknowledge the original. Maybe it could have little nods. Maybe they exist in the same universe. Maybe there's like those aliens or whatever those things are cropping up all over, and people are discovering.
Yeah, I like that all over the planet.
So yeah, it's not tied in too closely to the original, but so it's not a straight remake, but it's kind of hitting similar plot beats. Is kind of the vibe I was getting with it. So Jeff Bridges is going to be kind of the Matt one, the kind of the slightly cooler one, or the one who thinks he's a bit cooler, a bit of a slacker. Steve Buscemi is obviously the Dane DeHaan. Like, the comparison is clear. And Samuel L. Jackson, is definitely the suave kind of, his name's gone out of my head.
Michael B. Jordan.
He's the suave Michael B. Jordan type.
Makes sense, yeah.
So they are a trio of recently retired cops. Who go
cops, okay, yeah.
Who go on a cave diving excursion for some reason. Maybe to celebrate their retirements or something, I don't know.
Okay, now,
Spelunking their hobby.
Yeah.
I was just going to think, are they going to talk about what they did the day before they retired?
Oh,
just,
I hope so.
Just because then it could be like, I was 1 day away from retirement, and then this happened, and they talk about all the crazy things,
Well, my thought...
Alan Rickman took control of a skyscraper.
Well, see, my thought was actually that they're actually 3 cops in a very quiet town, and they've had a very uneventful careers. Like, they've just been very run-of-the-mill cops. They've never really seen a whole lot of action.
Sure.
And maybe that can be something that's a running joke where they're kind of like, oh man, I did like 50 years on the force, and the most exciting thing that ever happened was I pulled over a woman for speeding or something. It was like, it didn't really, the life of a crime fighter never really was what they expected it to be. So, and now they're retired, and they feel like the best years are behind them.
Yeah.
But they go on this cave diving trip just as buddies to that's the thing. And it's also going to be a footage film, so they're going to be filming everything. And I think this is going to make more sense that they'd be using like old-fashioned video cameras because they're all old men.
Yeah.
Because then imagine like he's carrying around this really old. You'd think in 2012 the Dane DeHaan character Andrew would just use. I know it's not what they are today, but it's still he'd probably just use an iPhone. But he's carrying around a full, on his back, on his shoulder, full video camera. So I feel like that could make more sense if it was old men who they're just using oldie 80s video cameras because they just can't figure out how to work these newfangled smartphones. So
Yep,
it
that
could be
works.
like a running gag. And like maybe it could like have little jokes throughout. Like maybe at one point the filming just stops for like 3 hours because the tape runs out and you have to spend hours looking around for the last store that still sells VHS.
Can there be a scene where they hand it over to one person who's not filming? Like maybe they hand it over to Samuel L. Jackson or something.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realise that he is pressing like record, but he's pressing it at the wrong times.
Yeah.
So like he's only recording when nothing's happening, and then as soon as everybody's ready to like start filming, he puts the camera up, we see everybody, and then the film stops.
Absolutely. The focus is going to be in and out all over the place.
Yeah.
There's going to be fingers on the lens.
Yeah. It's going to be great. I mean, it sounds horrible to watch.
Yeah. It's, we'll parcel it out so that it's just every now and again it's got a little bit of a joke to it. But yeah. Anyway, so while they're down there, shockingly, they encounter a strange glowing object in an abandoned cave that causes them all to temporarily black out.
Okay.
Much like the original. And when they come around, they get out of the cave, and over the following days, weeks, months, they start to exhibit mysterious powers. Now, because they're all in the like 60s and 70s, these powers initially manifest a little differently. So like maybe at one point Samuel L. Jackson's like, check it, I've not been to the bathroom in 3 hours. Their bladders are getting stronger. Their backs are straightening out again. They suddenly understand how to use modern TV remotes.
Okay, yeah.
Their erections come back, which their wives are thrilled about. So lots of middle-aged humour. I think we can go with that. But then they do, as they get stronger and stronger, they actually develop real superpowers. Similar to what we saw in the film, it's telekinesis, it's super strength, it's the ability to fly, it's all this kind of stuff. And then we get a kind of, as I mentioned, it turns into kind of a typical Marvel origin story, meets the Expendables, meets Chronicle kind of thing, where because they've had such boring careers and they've never really done any real crime fighting, now they're suddenly middle-aged superheroes or old-age superheroes. So I think because they're not going to be teenage boys, they're not going to be just, messing things up and being pranksters. They're going to be living out their fantasies of solving crime.
Yeah.
And at first they kind of love it. And maybe, I was also thinking, maybe this exists in, like, either the MCU or in some kind of universe where there are other superheroes. And maybe these superheroes are all, like, young, and then these new superheroes come onto the scene a little bit, and everyone's a bit bemused by, who are these guys? Like, who are and these, because they're old men, they're really stubborn, they're not interested in joining any kind of, Avengers-style collective. They just want to do their own thing. So they're just grouchy and they think they know better than everyone, basically. So
yeah,
like how in Deadpool they used some minor X-Men. Like I'm sure we're not going to get the full Infinity War cast in this, but maybe like a couple of the smaller characters can pop up and be like and just have little cameos.
Yeah, it could totally happen.
Yeah. So I just thought that could be fun. So yeah, at first they're loving it. They've never felt this young and alive before, and they're flying around their town solving all kinds of crimes. But ultimately they do start to abuse their powers a little bit. They start taking the law into their own hands a little bit too harshly, and they're maybe arresting people who don't really need to be arrested, and they're turning the town into a little bit of a police state, basically.
I think that if you were to, if you wanted some kind of a cameo or a guest appearance from some other superhero, it should be somebody who could be a bit more of a mentor to them, but also with the right mood. I'm thinking Zachary Levi's Shazam.
Oh, okay, that's good, yeah.
Because, like, he'd been mentored a little bit by, his, like, friend, but then also Superman comes onto the scene.
Yeah.
So for this, Zachary Levi is now being this mentor, but they're also, like, they find out he's 12 or whatever, and then they're all talking down to him, even though he's been a superhero for longer than them, and...
That could be fun, yeah. I think he's probably got the level of humour that could fit into this universe I'm kind of imagining.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, I could see that. Let's bring it. He's probably cheaper as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is obviously going to get made. So, yeah. But yeah, they start to abuse their powers a little bit. They start to become kind of a little bit authoritarian in the town, and people start to resent them a little bit. Also, so obviously Steve Buscemi is going to be our Dane DeHaan, like I mentioned. So he's maybe been divorced for several years, and he doesn't really see his kids very much, who are all obviously adult kids now or whatever. So he uses his powers to attempt to win back his ex-wife, even though she's like happily remarried. And yeah, she's moved on. She has no interest in getting back with him whatsoever. They had quite a messy divorce, and she's now remarried to Pierce Brosnan. Not the actor, but a character played by Pierce.
Wow,
Brosnan.
she's done well.
Yes, she's really moved up. No, because I feel like Pierce Brosnan is. It seems like he's been in a lot of movies where he's like the second husband, like the SWAT, like in Mrs. Doubtfire, like he's the trading up, the second husband when the wife's traded up, and for the other one to like look on him jealousy. So, and so he learns that his superpowers can't solve his problems. His kids don't like him any better; they find him just embarrassing, and he starts to act out in increasingly destructive ways.
Okay.
And I feel like it could then follow the original, where maybe Steve, the other two are. They're crossing the line in their own ways, but they're generally on the side of good. But then Steve Buscemi's character goes on a bit of a dark spiral, maybe develops a major drinking problem, or maybe he always had a major drinking problem. It just continues to spiral out of control. Maybe he ultimately, maybe he accidentally kills Pierce Brosnan, and that sends him off over the edge.
Yeah.
And then he goes on a whole killing spree, and the other two are forced to, very sadly, put him down. And then they realise that they should rein it in and use their powers for good, and maybe listen to more young people who are telling them how to,
Yeah, I like
how
it.
to behave. So yeah.
Okay, great.
So that's Chronicle 2. I needed something like
I thought of Chronic.
Chronic. That's good. Yeah, Chronic back pain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Chronicle 2. Chronic. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Or it could just be called Chronic.
I think that works better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's my idea. It's just basically The Expendables meets Chronicle.
That works very well.
Yeah.
All right, Lee, what have you got?
All right, so I wrote half of this a while ago, and I tried to finish the other half. So please interject, because it's not very good.
I thought you were about to say, I wrote half of this a while ago, and then the dog ate it.
It's not an excuse, Lee. Not an excuse.
I come through, I finish it off. First, my first idea was to tie every found footage style movie into one cinematic universe. So like Cloverfield and
Blair Witch.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I was like, nah.
Good attitude.
Yeah. So, this idea I have, like I said, interject as it goes through, but I've written probably too many pages for this, so I'll skim through. Basically, this is Chronicle, but it's got two eyes, so it's Chronicle 2.
Okay.
And basically, Matt...
Like the Roman numeral of... I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. There we
So
go.
It looks like Chronicle, which is kind of how I feel about this overall plot. So Matt has spent the last 6 years traveling the world, trying to do good as he can, stay out of the spotlight, given how the first film ended, as well as searching for answers to what happened to them. One day, he hears of the first hole in their hometown kind of reopening up in the same spot. Maybe it's a social media post. Maybe he kind of feels it telepathically calling to him. But he goes to investigate and then starts getting kind of flashbacks over the first film. And similar to the first film, he passes out and he wakes up a week later in the hospital, joined by his previous girlfriend Casey and guarded by the police and some generic government agency. Which, you guys want to give me a government agency name?
Oh, Big Daddy Cup.
Yeah, it's a bit of a runner
Big
one.
Daddy Corp it is. All right. So Casey tells Matt a little bit about the time that's happened, and then he is then questioned by an agent from Big Daddy Corp. So
Oh, yes, we've not had a Big Daddy episode for quite a while.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's nice to bring it back.
Yeah.
all right, Harry and John, you guys give me like the name of a character and who would play them. This character's just a name, so personality would be whoever plays it.
So what's the role?
An agent that works for this government agency.
Okay.
Okay, his first name is Agent.
Yeah.
Agent. Okay.
Yep.
He's agents, yeah.
Oh, no. His first name is just the initial A.
Okay.
His surname is Gent.
Oh, I see. So he's Agent Andrew Gent or
Yes,
something.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay, sure. Who'd play a good government agent?
Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, yes, that's good, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Bendo Mendo.
Yeah.
All right. So he talks to Matt, and it turns out that Andrew's body was taken for testing in a kind of Area 51 style place, and that is surrounding a separate hole. And that is a plot point that falls off because, like I said, I wrote this at 2 different times, so you'll see. I'm not a very good writer. But,
Okay, sure. Well, we'll leave that open for like a B plot or something.
Yeah, so Casey and Matt plan an escape and manage to get away and return to the original hole. They journey into it to find Andrew there. He's standing, and like his wounds are like replaced with like the crystal and viney stuff from like the first film, so he looks a bit different, a bit more sinister.
Is this film, how long after the original film did you say this takes place?
Just like a couple years, so it's like present day. So
Okay, so has Andrew been alive the whole time, or is he now rotted down to kind of like a zombie sort of thing? What's the deal here? Is he dead?
Looks a bit, yeah. Well, so they took his body before it was ever confirmed dead. But basically they were just studying what they thought was a corpse, and eventually it woke up.
Okay. Does he still have a giant hole in his chest from that spear, or is that healed over?
No, that's where the crystal and vine stuff are coming out.
Oh, I see.
So it's like
Yeah.
almost like it's patched up. He's
Right.
patched up with the stuff.
Mhm.
So Matt tries calling out to Andrew, and he gets no response. And then there's a sudden burst of energy and light, and they're thrown outside of the hole, and it's gone, similar to the first film.
Mhm.
So Matt and Casey are found by Agent Gent, and they reluctantly agree to help stop Andrew. So meanwhile, Andrew begins to regain his power. It's almost like he's got to kind of recharge, and he wants to try to hone some new powers that potentially that come with the crystally and diviney stuff. So he goes back to his childhood home, and he walks past his parents' room and sees the bed where his mother used to lay all the time, and he gets kind of flooded over with emotions. All this power, and he couldn't save her, is kind of what he's feeling. So his dad comes home, who's now in a wheelchair. His father is shocked and confused and angry, obviously, seeing Andrew back. So he begins to shout at him, and faced with this in conjunction with the memories he's feeling about his mom, he just gets, I mean, you've seen the first film. You can expect where he's going.
Yeah.
So he's not really had a lot of personal growth between the films. He's still very much in supervillain, like mega emo teen mode.
It seems it's more like a conflict. It's like it's almost as if something else is taking over, and that's kind of like, how should I say this? It's like his anger and stuff gets heightened,
Right.
beyond his control. So it's like all that stuff would have happened, and if it wasn't the case, it wouldn't have ended as badly. But yeah, so Andrew gets real worked up, like something's taken over him, and he raises his dad in the air. He's about to probably split him like was originally. He goes to do that, and he hears sirens in the distance, and it's the government agency, and with Matt and Agent Gent tells them to go in and trank him and bring him back because they want to study him for whatever their Big Daddy Corp needs are. So they go inside, and Matt starts to talk to Andrew, and he seemingly starts to talk him down, and then one of the agents gets spooked and tranks him.
What's tranking someone?
Like tranquilizer?
Oh, tranquilizer.
Yeah.
That's right, because
Like,
the director of
yeah.
this film is called Josh Trank.
Yeah.
So I thought that's an interesting
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
Put him in a really disappointing follow-up movie. So-
So he starts to kind of pass out, but not before bringing the house down around them. At the last second, Matt saves Andrew, and he takes him off to a mountain in Tibet, where they can kind of talk.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew wakes up with Matt, and still a little bit sedated. He starts crying and telling him that he's sorry about what's happened, and he's felt something inside of him beyond what had happened, almost as if something was controlling him. Andrew and Matt reflect briefly over the events of the first film, and Andrew is very remorseful over the what happened. Matt apologizes for what he did, and that kind of awakens something in Andrew. His eyes roll black, maybe, and so it's very evident that something else is at play here.
Mm-hmm.
So they punch a bit, and
Also, he's like possessed, so the apology...
yeah.
He starts to get through to him, but then something takes over and he becomes possessed again and just becomes evil again.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they fight a bit, and it's revealed that Andrew's been taken over by whatever is inside those holes that they've found. Matt, luckily enough, is able to trank again with one of the trank darts he had from before. So Andrew is now kind of passed out again, and he feels like he's got no choice but to take him back to the government agency to kind of help figure things out. And obviously, this last portion is definitely what I wrote. The second half, so it's a whole lot. There's not a lot of connection between the first part. And like I said, I'm not a writer, so it's also so. But as he begins to head back, the ground kind of shakes and crumbles around him, and him and Andrew are swallowed into the ground, and they find themselves in a massive cavern, styled like the hole that they were in before.
Oh, okay.
I see.
So it looks like the holes from before. Andrew starts to wake up, and the two are told telepathically that the reason for their powers is that an alien race, whether it be a dimensional thing or interplanetary thing, doesn't matter, is the reason for their powers, and that they were using Earth to kind of experiment and get cannon fodder for some kind of war they're fighting.
I see.
They don't want to take over. They don't want to take over the world. They just need troops and to save their own people. So
they've been brought up as soldiers, essentially.
yeah, exactly.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the alien decides to demonstrate the ultimate results of their experiment, and out of the shadows walks Steve Montgomery, but he's just like 4 times the zombie crystal viney that Andrew was, and you can tell he's gone. It's just a body though.
Right.
Is this
sure.
to kind of also explain the fact that Michael B. Jordan's like twice the size as he was when he made this film now? Like, he has beefed up.
Yeah. So they start fighting. It seems very generic action.
So this Andrew and Matt are fighting against Steve, so Andrew's fighting on the side of the good for the moment, or...
Yeah, for the moment, but then things kind of start to sway, as like it's almost as if when he's sedated, he gets less of a control. But as time goes on, you can tell he's getting taken over again. Ultimately, it ends up with Andrew and Steve against Matt, and Steve pins down Matt, and Andrew's holding a giant shard above him, and as he's about to stab him, he actually swoops through Steve and into the alien creature that's inside the cavern. And Andrew says he can feel the connection of the creature and him weakening, and the cavern starts to fall apart around them. And they get out, and this is about the end of the film. So they get out and they talk about what they're going to do next, and Matt and Casey are going to give Life on the Run a try together, and Andrew decides to retire himself into a life of solitude in Tibet like the monks.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Keep a low profile, I'd say.
And post-credit scene, because I love a good post-credit scene.
Don't we all?
in the form of like kind of found footage social media posts, you just see a bunch of people posting about all these holes popping up all around the world.
Oh,
And
okay.
then that's the real end.
Yeah, okay. So the aliens aren't defeated. They're still cropping up even after the fact.
Yeah, essentially my thought is that the one alien creature was in the one hole and controlling the trio
But
of boys from the first film. But yeah.
But you're setting up for a third film, which is going to be like a global epidemic of this alien takeover.
It felt, at that point, like, it made sense to go there, but I wasn't a huge fan of where I went with it because it just felt like a generic kind of Independence Day type thing. And I think not exploring the aliens is to a benefit of the original film.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and I wanted to do something kind of character driven, but I'm not a writer, so I couldn't pull it off.
No, that was good. I think there's a good like redemption arc storyline in there, definitely for the Andrew character. I think having him and Matt kind of try and figure out some, having him kind of explain why he was the way he was, and have him, I think it might be good if he actually sacrificed himself at the end to save Steve or certainly to save Matt. That might be a good way to do it.
I toyed with that idea, but then I thought it would feel like a retread of the first film, so that's the only reason.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. No, I think there's definitely something in there that's got some potential.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't that have a title?
Oh yeah, the Chronicle with the two.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Romeo.
Yeah. Excellent.
Chronicle.
I can imagine the poster. So I like that.
I mean, we know that Josh Trank isn't against it when he did Fant Four Stick.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
That's kind of where my thought was at.
Yeah. God, that was a time.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, Harry, I guess we're over to you.
Okay. Right. Well, I've got 3 ideas.
Okay.
They don't really have titles, and they probably won't. So it's essentially a what if series.
Okay.
Each one is going to be a remake, but instead of having telekinesis, they get a different superpower.
I see. Okay.
So the first one I've got is they each get telepathy.
Okay.
From the thing. So this one will have telepathic powers instead, and we start in a garden where they're practicing their powers. The budget of the film becomes a lot smaller.
Yeah.
They tease the bullies by spreading rumours about them, but like true rumours, instead of physically assaulting them.
Mm-hmm.
And, it turns out all the bullies, they're all actually super insecure.
Okay, because that's good, because I was actually thinking, what if one idea I almost toyed with but then rejected was to do it's the same film, but if it happened to 3 teenage girls.
Okay,
like a Mean Girls meets Chronicles scenario.
Yeah.
So I can see that, where rather than like just physically abusing people and pulling out the teeth, they just like I said, they spread vicious rumours. And
God, that'd be fantastic.
But also, like, what is a worse time in life for people to be able to read your thoughts than being a teenage boy, or to be a teenager in general? Like, so I think there'd be loads you could do there with the 3 of them reading each other's minds and finding out stuff that they don't want each other to know about, and like all their secret shames and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that could be really interesting. I like that a lot.
So the powers get a bit stronger, and now they can, to an extent, they can control people's minds.
Okay.
Sort of tell them what to think and sometimes what to do.
Yeah.
As their powers get stronger. So the talent show becomes quite different.
Oh, God.
Where instead it's more of a psychic show.
Oh, okay.
With a few bits of hypnosis included. And, nobody really believes in it, and it actually doesn't win.
I know.
It's like, it's just fine. Like, we've seen this all before. Like,
we've all watched Darren... Is it Darren Brown?
Yeah.
Okay. But are they hypnotising each other, or are they bringing people out in the audience?
They're bringing people out in the
you're
audience.
You're a duck.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay,
but
sure.
still, it's like, whatever. It's not as good as that punk band that was on.
Sure. Yeah. Which is more realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have been. They should have been like, nerds.
So Andrew goes around and he convinces the drug gang and the garage to give him all their money, to try and help his mum. But as he's walking away from the garage, the owner snaps out of it, and the shotgun scene still happens. Andrew ends up back in hospital, exactly as the first film happened. His dad comes. Andrew quite quickly snaps out of his coma and convinces his dad to jump out the window.
Okay.
Which he does. The final fight is actually between all 3 of them because Steve hasn't died at all.
Oh, good. More Michael B. Jordan. Always good. Yeah.
Steve gets killed by police almost immediately.
Yeah.
Which spurs the other 2 to become villains and avenge him by getting all the police to kill themselves.
Okay. Oh, this is dark, Harry. This has gone really bleak.
And they then become super villains together at the end.
Okay. Wow. That started fun and got just upsetting at the end. Okay. Well. That's something, yeah. Okay, interesting.
Okay, so another one here. They all get the ability to shapeshift.
Okay. Always fun.
Yeah, so they go to school and they shapeshift to become the bullies. They then do loads of really embarrassing stuff. Shapeshift into teachers, find the real bullies and ground them for months for all the embarrassing stuff that they didn't actually do.
Sure.
The
Oh,
talent...
I guess because they're filming themselves doing all the embarrassing stuff too. That makes it even better.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the bullies are caught on camera, like walking around with their pants down.
Oh, yeah,
or
that
whatever.
makes good sense.
Deny that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
so
like
then,
that
yeah,
a lot.
they're grounded for public indecency and
Sure, yeah.
whatever else. I don't know.
Grounded.
Well,
It's just such a...
well, there's detention, isn't it? Sorry,
doing
yeah,
detention
parents
for
ground
life.
thing, but whatever. The talent show goes very differently because it turns out that, 3 teenage straight boys, they're probably just going to turn into supermodels and just have a bit of fun, aren't they?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it actually turns into a fashion show.
Oh, correct.
The
Is
talent.
that what teenage straight boys would do? Turn themselves into sexy women?
So you could just play around?
Okay, sure. Fair enough.
Maybe.
Okay. Whatever.
The talent show becomes just a fashion show, and again, it doesn't win because everybody's just weirded out.
Yeah, understandably, yeah.
Yeah, like
What's happening here?
who are all these people? Where did they come from? What's happening? Yeah. By the end of the film, the 3 boys, they've all abandoned their families completely to go and live in Beverly Hills and are constantly pretending to be different celebrities.
Oh, okay, that's good.
They're all having major identity crises, as none of them manage to stay the same identity for very long. They all forget their original selves, and the budget for the film goes purely on cameos.
Oh, that's good. I like that idea. You could have like a load of cameos of like celebrities sending themselves up and they all get caught up in ridiculous scandals that they've not done. So that would be really good.
And that they all essentially are teenage boys, but they're kind of forgetting that they're teenage boys
Yes, so it's
and
a
where
like,
they came from and everything.
yeah, maybe they get really into like the LA party scene. So like maybe one of them like turns into Meryl Streep and then goes into like a big Oscar party kind of thing, and then just does a huge amount of coke.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that. That could be a lot of fun. Yeah.
And my third and final one I've got here, unless you guys want to improv some at the end, they all gain the ability to tell computers to do whatever they want.
Okay.
Quite a small superpower that was in Heroes.
What, they become coders?
Yeah.
Pretty much, but just like they can, touch a computer and it can do anything.
Oh, okay, I see.
So, as teenage boys would, they all go straight to ATMs and withdraw as much money as they can.
Sure. I mean, that's probably what I do, to be honest.
Yeah, sure, fine, yeah. They all live long, happy lives, rich lives, where Andrew's mother gets all the medical treatment she needs, and happily ever after.
Yeah, bit of
They
a boring film, but sure.
They all essentially have to launder the cash to do so.
Oh, okay.
Because you just got cash, and how you're going to suddenly pay for everything with you can't buy a house with cash.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And so in laundering all the money, it goes pretty well for Andrew and for what's the cousin called again?
Matt.
But for Steve, being a black teenager in America, he gets framed as some kind of drug kingpin.
Oh dear.
Which, there's some evidence to prove it because he's got all this cash and he's trying to launder it and he's not doing very well. So he goes to jail for a stint, but he breaks himself out pretty quickly.
Sure.
Just he gets hold of a computer or something, wipes his record clean, changes his name or something like that. And then he starts a fight against racism, which begins by rigging elections all across the country.
Oh, okay, interesting.
The majority of Congress, including the president, are all now black men and women. Donald Trump is deported to Mexico, which is where his birth certificate now says he's from. And he's forced to declare himself bankrupt again.
Oh, nice.
And then they live happily ever after.
Oh, what a utopian story. Great.
Do you want to try and improv any more, if you can think of any
Any other
superpowers?
what other superpowers are there that this film didn't touch on?
I've not got any more written down.
Like teleportation, maybe.
Teleportation's always a good one.
Oh, yeah. So essentially they just all go backpacking.
Yeah, it's like that classic sequel where it's just they just go around the world,
Yeah.
It's like Chronicle 2 European Adventure or something.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Chronicle 2, Jumper.
Jumper.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
Jumper. Yeah. What other powers are there? Like, so they've already
Super
had
speed?
like, super speed. Yeah.
What would that be?
Super strength.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, a lot of them would just do very well in the Olympics.
I was going to say maybe they could just all become like sporting superstars.
Yeah,
And then
speed and strength would be either of those.
and then they get caught up in like what's that thing illegal? What's that thing Lance Armstrong got caught
Doping?
with? Doping. They all get suspected of doping because they're all far too superhuman for it to be credible. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I've got really. Yeah, but no, very good, very very good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, maybe they shift into famous actual superheroes. So they actually use their powers. They start dressing up as like Superman.
Ah, right. So they're now Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Michael B. Jordan's just present day Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
He just makes himself super buff and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. No, yeah, I think that's definitely got much potential. So, yeah, excellent. So no titles there, but just a trilogy of what-if scenarios.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool. Okay, very good. So yeah, listener submissions.
I think I forgot to do listener submissions this week. Oh, man.
Did you?
Ah.
Oh, let me down, Harry. I've got a few.
Completely slipped my mind. I'm sorry.
It's okay, I have a few. So Stuart Jip said, Chronicle 2, Hooked on Chronics.
Nice.
So I guess that's them all just as massive stoners, I guess. Adam Bailey said, The Chronicles of Dipshit. That's like Chronicles of Riddick. They're all a bunch of dipshits. Yeah.
Is it still Vin Diesel?
Could be, yeah.
He is just dipshit. That's his name.
Mac McIntyre said Chronic Tool. Chronic, the second C is a 2.
Nice.
So yeah. Jonathan Petcow said 2 Chron 2 Ickle.
Good.
Yeah. Matt Cook said Chronicle 2, still chronicling. Jake Byrne said it's basically just the show Misfits.
Yeah.
Which it kind of is, yeah. So then we got some more fleshed out ideas. Scott Hillman said, so this sequel is a couple of years later, and the meteors that caused the teenagers to develop superpowers, so I guess it's meteors in this version, have popped up all over the world. And hundreds, if not thousands, of people have in fact developed powers, similar to the boys in the original.
Okay.
It only happens to young people, though, because old people's bodies can't handle it.
Okay.
Yeah. This sequel focuses on Andy, a genderqueer young person living in the south of America who has their own vlog on YouTube. Vlog. I just can't do it. I can't say vlog. It sounds wrong. For me, it's a vlog.
Yeah, kids these days aren't using the right terminology.
This is the hill I'm going to die. I'm just going to call it a vlog. Okay? This genderqueer young person in America has a vlog on YouTube that becomes quite popular in which they document the growth of their powers. But they're also kind of talking about how they have to cope with prejudice and hatred, not just against them because they are superheroes, but also because they are genderqueer, and so it gets into all that kind of stuff. And also how they cope with newfound fame as their videos become more and more popular.
Yeah.
And they actually start to use their powers for social justice causes to kind of help to, support social justice. However, they end up being quite torn about how far they should go in using their powers, maybe potentially even abusing their powers to promote social justice, especially when a group of superpowered new people, like a bunch of young people with powers, start planning a revolution, and they want Andy to be the face of the movement because Andy is a vlogging celebrity. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of bringing in a lot of different things there. But, like, what if you use these powers for good? But what if, does the end justify the means? Are they going to overstep? And, yes, that could be interesting, definitely. So, yeah, that was quite an in-depth one, so thank you for that, Scott Hillman. Benjamin Sunday said, I thought the original's found footage conceit wasn't quite justified enough. So my idea for a sequel would be to have a misanthropic film student getting powers and using them to make a film where he's the lead, although the audience will be able to recognise him as the villain straight away.
Okay, yeah.
So ultimately he'd be using the telekinesis powers to control people's movements and force them to perform in his movie against their will.
Oh.
So that's good.
Ooh,
so he casts himself in the movie he wants to make where he's the lead and forces everyone else to act alongside him. I like that a lot. That's dark. Nice. Thank you, Benjamin Sunday.
And is that the Disney live action remake of Pinocchio?
Could be, yeah. Could be. It's really going some places. Yeah. And finally, Matt Eckholm said, a documentary following Josh Trank trying to get funding for Chronicle 2 and throwing tantrums and tweet storms along the way. It'd be watchable, yeah.
Oh, God, that's unfortunate.
Could be, yeah. So, yeah, those were our listener submissions for Chronicle. If you have any sequel ideas for Chronicle or any other films we've done in the past, please let us know. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us at beyondtheboxset.com. Our podcast is available on all good podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast. You name it, we're on it. If we're not on it, let us know. We will get on it. You can also contact us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search Beyond the Box Set or at Beyond the Box Set on Twitter. And we have exclusive merchandise available at TeePublic. And our Patreon page is patreon.com/Beyond the Box Set. Now, we haven't actually planned this yet, Harry, because due to scheduling, this episode's going to come out a little bit after our disaster season wraps up. So after that, I believe it's a you choice.
This is a disaster movie season, by the way. The season itself is not a disaster.
Oh, no, the season is a storming success, but it's disaster movie season.
Pun intended? Storming success?
Let's say yes.
Okay.
It's a geostorming success. But yeah, I don't know. So this is probably going to be like a mid-July episode. So
okay.
Do you have anything in? I'll put you on the spot. I mean, we can re-record this later if not. Do you have anything in mind, Joe?
Yeah. Okay. So I've got a film that I've been thinking about for a while that I've not seen, but from what I know of it, it's gonna be a good time.
Okay.
And I think that you'll enjoy it. I'm sure it's been on your list too. It's Girls Trip.
Oh yes. Oh okay, that's gonna be good fun. Okay.
Yeah, that's-
Also not seen it, but it's definitely been on my list. So.
I've heard really good things about it.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Great stuff. So thank you, Lee, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Do you want to one more time very quickly plug your podcast?
Connected Hearts, a Kingdom Hearts fan community podcast, and you can find us on iTunes and Twitter at Podcast Hearts.
Great. So check that out. And yeah, so thanks again, Lee. And we will see you next week for Girls Trip.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Ignore us. We're just Morbins.